spoiled, but you did miss about 15 minutes of the fire alarm going off. So.
I heard it.
All right, we are going to now start with our final media availability or I should say post-race interview. Here this evening at Bowman Gray, we've now been joined by our race winner, Chase Elliott. Chase, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the win. We're going to go straight to questions, and to kick us off, we'll start with Jacob in the back.
Jacob Zielman, Race Face Digital. Chase, you mentioned it in your TV interview, but what was the ambiance like out there for post-race? It sounded like the crowd was every bit as rowdy for the victory as they were at a lot of other points during the night, and it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was super fun. I'm sure they would have been excited regardless, but I'm a little biased in the situation just for myself. It was an extremely special moment, and I think the people in the crowd here made it that. So I'm thankful for that. It was a moment I'll never forget for sure. It's not every day you not only race in an environment like that, but to have the opportunity to win and kind of share that moment with the crowd was really cool. So I hope we put on a good show. I hope they enjoyed it. It seemed like they were into it, throughout the night, and it seemed like a success. I know it's always tough from a winner's perspective, when everything goes your way, but it seemed like. It seemed like the track was racy. I just thought the whole deal was much improved from the last couple of years for sure.
Would you be a proponent of bringing the Clash back here next year then?
I don't have any issues with coming back. I mean, like I said, I thought overall it was, it seemed like a good show. The tire wear came into play. The environment from not only tonight but last night, the place was packed out. It just seemed like a good all-around event. And, I just feel like if we're going to race on a football field, this is probably as good of a place as any to do it,
Bob, go ahead.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. So what made it different than the Coliseum that obviously you liked it better?
Yeah, I think just the size of the track, it seemed bigger to me. I don't know what the technical distance would be, how different it is or not. But the straightaways seemed a little longer. The corners weren't such a sharp, it didn't seem like it was such a sharp apex. And I think all of those things, that combined with the track surface having some age, to it, I think all three of those things probably had a pretty large impact on the race being better and kind of putting it a little more in your hands as far as tire management and all that stuff. So those would be the three big ones for me.
And how do you lead 171 laps and maybe only get shoved out of the lead once here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was really, honestly felt like there at the end of the first 100 that Denny and Tyler had gotten better than us, and we needed to be a good bit improved to track those guys back down, and was kind of afraid that if we lost control it was going to be hard to get it back. But Alan made some good adjustments there at the break, and we were able to get back to second, and then I felt like I needed to take my shot and try to get the lead, and if it worked out, great, and if Denny got me back, then so be it. But I just felt like my best chance to win was to try to get control of the race in that moment, and took that opportunity and was fortunate enough to kind of have the race play out in our favor, and certainly Ryan kept us honest, there at the end too.
Microphone to Destin, please. You're good? Okay, Mark.
Mark Garrow, PRN. What's it like to win a race when the crowd is that into it? And when Ryan and Joey were here, I watched the start of the race from the grandstands. So you knew that 60% were the locals, and it seemed the other 40% had to pass some test to be vetted before they came in, because I've never seen a crowd that was literally 100% like hardcore. And just watching those opening laps with them, you get kind of jaded after doing 40 years of this, but even I was getting excited up there. What was it like for you?
Well, I think, coming from you, that is quite the compliment for the event. We always get asked the questions, but you've been watching a lot of racing too, and I think for you to say that is, in all seriousness, a pretty big compliment for the event. So, it was a great environment before the race. And, I just think that probably the biggest lesson I've taken from the weekend is kind of just reaffirming my belief in less is more. Like this crowd, it wasn't 80,000, 90,000, people or a person crowd, but it was a smaller number, a more intimate number, and to your point, they were all very much into the show, and I think it makes for good TV. It looks good, and they were into it, and I think all those things are positives for us as an industry.
Is it special to win a race like that? Where
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely it is, and I alluded to it earlier, but I think the people and the environment make those moments special, and without the environment being what it was, it wouldn't have felt the way it did, and I think all those things contribute into what will always be a memorable night for myself and our team.
All right, Matt, go ahead.
Matt Weaver, Sportsnaut. Chase, I think you made 2 or 3 K&N starts here. Was it 2?
So what now?
2. Did you make 2 K&N starts here back in the day?
I think so. Yeah, I think just 2.
So I'm curious, like, knowing the history of this place and what it means to short track racing, leaving that phase of your career and thinking, hey, I'm probably never going to have a chance to win at Bowman Gray, then getting the chance to winning the race, is that something you had any sort of like romanticism towards?
Hey, look at Chad Knaus back there showing some excitement. Thanks, man. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it from that perspective, but absolutely, at that point in time, it was just such a different time in my career because, like I was coming along, and at that point, I had not raced on any bigger racetracks, and I would say when you ask any driver that's coming along, that they're going to be like, when you get a chance to go race at Richmond for the first time, you're like, man, this place is big. And then you go to Iowa and some of those tracks, and then you get to your first mile and a half, and you kind of start getting to some of those larger racetracks. That's a really big deal for a young driver. So like at that point in time, it was just, I wasn't as excited about it, I think, because I was ready to like go race on bigger racetracks, and I don't think I appreciated it probably as much as I should have during those years that I did it. But now having some more experience and understanding more about the track and the history here, and what the the crowd's like, and all those things, I think it makes it more special for sure. And I think some of that comes with just experience and just having a greater appreciation for places like this that have had a very deep history in our sport, whether a cup race is here or if it's just a sanctioned event like the modifieds or whatever.
And then NASCAR is kind of going 2 parallel directions right now. There's the Wilkesboro and Rockingham and Bowman Gray. There's Mexico City and Chicago. How important, in addition to the international big markets, is having these kind of grassroots, old school kind of events?
I think it's paramount, honestly. You hate to see those, historic might be the wrong word, but just that those cornerstone racetracks of kind of what paved NASCAR to be what it is today shut down or go away. So if us having a race or if it's the Rockingham case where those guys are taking Xfinity and trucks over there, if that's going to keep that place alive and keep it from shutting down or getting bulldozed, then I think that's a victory for motorsports. Like, for whether it's NASCAR or whatever. I just think having these racetracks survive this day and time is a really big deal. And we need to try to make sure we're doing as much as we can to keep those places in business and give us the opportunity to even return there one day, right? Like what happens if the effort from the state didn't happen and Rockingham goes away and North Wilkesboro goes away and all these places get bulldozed? Well, we can't have special moments to return to anywhere because they're gone. So I just think it's important that we do what we can to make these places continue to be special here in the region, which is obviously has a big footprint with NASCAR and the history here. And I think we can expand and grow and try new things while doing that all at the same time.
All right, Jay in the back, go ahead.
Chase Bobby Bowman Gray. Chase, you were so dominant early, and you're kind of able to kind of regain that after the break. Did you just kind of have to bide your time with the adjustments you made?
Yes and no. I do think that I probably didn't save enough through the first 100 laps. I really wasn't sure how much to save, and sometimes when you're the leader in that scenario, you're kind of setting the pace, and those guys can judge off you how hard to run. And I think that Denny, and Tyler and a few of them did a better job. Ryan saving their tire to have something left there in those last 20 laps in that first one. I think our balance could have been a little better too, and I do think we got our balance better for the second half. I think I did a little better job saving, and took my opportunity to try to get control of the race there when I felt like I could. I didn't know if I was going to get another one, honestly. Denny's so good. You give a guy like that an opportunity to lead the race, control his tire wear, kind of do his thing, he's going to become hard to beat, as the race wears on. So I just felt like that, I needed to take my opportunity while I could to get back control and try to conserve what I could from the lead. It was going to be my best shot of winning.
All right, we're going to go Barry, and then we'll end with Reed. Go ahead, Barry.
Yes, Barry, Richmond Piedmont Broadcasting Corporation. Chase, was such a great start to the season. We will have a 2-week intermission, as it were, before we hit to the first real point race of the year at Daytona. How does that start, win, stop affect you as a driver now that you won the first event of the season?
Well, it sounds to me like I can enjoy it for another 7 days, an extra 7 days versus a normal race. So that's a good thing. I mean, look, I know it's not a points race, but I don't care. These things are, man, they are so hard to win. Like whether it's a points race, not a points race, before the season or the All-Star, this garage has become so competitive, and these guys are so good at what they do. It's just, it's very rewarding to cross the finish line first in whatever type of event it is when you're racing against those types of drivers and teams. So that to me is very enjoyable from our perspective, and we'll take the positives from the weekend for sure. We recognize there's 37 more to go, and there's a lot of racing left, so just hope we can build on this.
Mentioned too, running here, if you're going to have a racetrack at a football field, this is a place to have it. What's your pick for next week?
That's a good question. Man, I'll be honest, I was really pulling for the Bills. I was really pulling for Josh Allen. I've become a big fan of his. So with that being said, the Chiefs are always tough, but I'm pulling for the Eagles. I'd like to see them win. I'm getting some head nods in the back. I love it. But yeah, no, I'd like to see the Eagles win. Jalen seems like a stand-up leader and individual, and somebody that I think everybody can admire. So I wouldn't mind seeing him, get a win. He came close the last time they met.
All right, Reed, take us home.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. What does it say about the quality of racing and the quality of the show that a guy can start 23rd on a provisional and come through the field and challenge you for the win?
Yeah, I mean, I think that says a lot. Truthfully, like I said, I think the racetrack was really racy, and there was enough tire wear that it allowed that to happen, where a guy could conserve and make smart decisions and kind of claw his way up through there. And Ryan certainly did that. He has become elite at places like Martinsville and here and Phoenix and some of these shorter tracks that you really have to be mindful of all those things. So. Yeah, I was when I saw him, I was like, man, wow, didn't he start last? And then I thought about it a little more, and I thought, well, that's not really all that surprising at all. As good as he was at Martinsville in the fall, this isn't super different from that. I mean, it is different, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of similarities. So not super surprised to see him, to see him up there by the end.
Chase, congratulations again.
Cool.
Thanks for spending time with us. Safe travels home.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
All right. To all the media, thank you guys for hanging with us here during our post-race availabilities.